All right, Pistons fans, here we go in another off season. Got a lot of moves that we can make and a lot of moves that we should make. Who knows who our next head coach is going to be, but I'll be working on a video on that shortly with some suggestions that I have. I did do one already. At the end of this one, I'll leave a link that's going to pop up as far as that video is concerned with the head coaching possibilities that I would choose from. But at any extent, we're looking forward to some changes. Here are some free agents that I like to see us nab in this offseason. One of them is Trey Lyles. And speaking of Trey Lyles, it's funny that a lot of the players that were on the roster the past 3 years are on playoff teams now. Go figure. I know the Atlanta Hawks are playing in the play-in game, but you got Sadiq Bey there. You got Trey Lyles out there in Sacramento. You got Saban Lee over in you got Saban Lee in Phoenix, Luke Kennard in Memphis, Bruce Brown in Denver. So, reason I say that is that I would like to see us hold on to as many of these players as we can that we currently have on the roster and move forward. But I think next season is going to be a good season for the Detroit Pistons. It's kind of scary the way they look. And that wasn't even with all the starters in, but this is just some of my suggestions as far as the pickups we can make. As far as unrestricted free agents, I like to choose one of these guys. It'd be Trey Lyles, Dylan Brooks, Mo Wagner, and Jay Crowder should have been a Piston a long time ago, and Will Barton. If we can have one of those guys as unrestricted free agents this off season, that'd be great. I'll get down at the end and let you know who my picks would be out of this group. Next up, we do have some players who have player options coming up this offseason as well. Dante DiVincenzo of the Golden State Warriors, Draymond Green, his name has been kicked around as far as joining the Pistons when his contract ends out there in Golden State. Kyle Kuzma, Bruce Brown in Denver, and Chris Middleton. That's another player that was a former Detroit Piston. And speaking of one I forgot was Spencer Dinwiddie. I know he's been gone a minute, but also he was part of the Pistons. It just makes you wonder if we could have kept those guys together for a few more seasons. What would we, where would we be right now? We'd probably be a playoff team right now, but that's done and said. So moving on, these are just some players with the player options that I would like to look at becoming Detroit Pistons in this offseason. As far as the draft is concerned, I'm still picking the player that I've been speaking about for the longest, and that's Armando Bacot out of North Carolina. I don't think the Pistons should play around with their first pick wherever it falls. I think Armando Bacot just fits into where this team is going. It doesn't slow them down. It should be a running and gunning team, and I believe he fits perfectly with the Detroit Pistons. And I've been saying that from day one. I know there's a lot of hoopla over a lot of other guys, but most definitely Armando Bacot should be that first round pick. Also, you got Trace Jackson Davis, another guy that I like. He's a defensive monster. And you put any one of these two guys next to Jalen Duren in the paint, and you got something special. And that's also with James Wiseman as part of the roster as well. Moving on, another player from North Carolina, and this guy I believe is going to take the league by storm. I said that about Jordan Usher. Hopefully someone signs him to a summer league team and he gets his run in the league. But Leaky Black out of North Carolina, kind of reminds me of another Kobe Bryant type player, and I think he's going to make a lot of noise when he gets in the league, most definitely. Tanner Groves out of Oklahoma, big body, kind of plays like Steven Adams or like a Bill Laimbeer type of player. I don't know if he will be on the active roster or not, but he would be one of the players I would consider for the two-way contracts while playing for the G League. Also, you got Acock out of Georgetown, another big fella there. Uh, Defensive player, can grab you a few rebounds as well. Those would be my two picks as far as um, the G League team is concerned. As far as giving two-way contracts, that's what I would use that two-way contract for those two. But there's no way in the world I would be letting Armando Bacot, Trace Jackson Davis, and Leaky Black just slip through the cracks if the opportunity comes up to draft those players or somehow make a deal and get those players in Detroit. Now, this is what my roster would look like coming up this season. We do know some players are not going to be around here next season. That's a given. And I hope they move on to better and brighter things. This is no knock on them at all. But I believe this roster would be the one that would push the Pistons into the top five position as far as the standings are concerned in the Eastern Conference this upcoming season. And I got Jaden Ivey. Took me a minute to kind of change my perspective. I was ticked off that we didn't draft who I wanted to draft, and that was Jordan Usher at the time. But Jaden Ivey has grown on me, and he's got a bright future here. He's starting to remind me of Isaiah Thomas, Zeke, and wow, it's going to be something to look forward to next season. Bojan is still here, and we also going to hang on to Isaiah Livers. I still think he has a lot of potential. Armando Bacot is one of the draft picks, of course. As far as those free agents are concerned, ones with the player options, Chris Middleton will be one that I would hope looks at Detroit, and it would be great to have him back in Detroit. Veteran, won a title, and he can bring a lot of veteran leadership to this team and possibly get them over the hump as far as getting into the playoffs and making a long run in the playoffs. Cade Cunningham is coming back next season. Hope he comes back strong, and we'll see him and Ivy together. I believe they can coexist. I think you play Jaden Ivey as the shooting guard mainly, and you can play Cade Cunningham as a point guard, or vice versa. You can switch those up, but um, yeah. Dylan Brooks, of course, you add him. That's just bringing back that bad boy mentality, kind of giving us an identity as a team. Trace Jackson Davis, I already said how I feel about him. And Leaky Black, I think Leaky Black would be great as well. Dante DiVincenzo, uh, sharpshooter, did us in the NCAA finals a few years ago. And like I said, for the two-way contract, two-way players would be Tanner Groves will be one. Still hanging on to Killian Hayes, Mo Wagner, bringing Mo Wagner in, and also hanging on to R.J. Hampton, Jalen Duran. That's a no-brainer there, and Acock would be one of the other two-way players, and then we have James Wiseman. That's what I would be looking at as far as the Pistons roster is concerned. That's what I would love to see next season, but who knows? Hopefully we land one of these guys and things turn out different next season for us. We're talking starting lineups here. Most definitely Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duran, Bojan, and Wagner. Those will be the starting five right there. So you got your backcourt of Ivey and Cade Cunningham. You got center and Jalen Duran. Bojan as the small forward, and you got a power forward and Mo Wagner. Coming off the bench, you got Killian Hayes, Chris Middleton, James Wiseman, Dylan Brooks, and my man Armando Bacot. Also coming off the bench, you got R.J. Hampton, Leaky Black, Trace Jackson Davis, Dante DiVincenzo, and you got Isaiah Livers coming off the bench. I think that would be tight as far as a roster is concerned, an active roster. And then you got Acock, and Tanner Rose that you can bring up from the G League if you need to. But this is my opinion. What do you think? What players would you like to add from these listings? What would you like to see as far as draft picks is concerned? And let me know in the comments what you think about this roster. Peace out. I'm out of here.